morning, everyone. This is Yunus Malik. This is our third episode of Success Story Chronicles. We're very excited to have Brother Kesa today. Brother Kesa, I've known him for, I think, about 15 years. I haven't met him yet personally, but he's been well respected in the community, helping out a lot of young engineers. And I think in substation and engineering and design, I think he has a really great certain position that I don't think anybody that I know of, at least, is equal to his experience and his credentials. Today, I'd like to welcome Brother Kesser as well. And we're going to rewind his life here in Canada since he migrated, and we'll try to learn some wisdom and some pieces of advice from him, that what the young upcoming engineers and professionals, those are joining the labor force or joining Canadian economy, how did they start their life? What are the key messages that Kesser can actually advise us, so that we can learn and implement those in our lives. So, Assalamu alaikum, Kesser Bhai, how are you today?
Walaikum Assalam. I'm good. How about you guys?
So thank you very much for taking time out. I know you have a busy day today. There are some office opening party going on there, and you get a busy schedule, but I'm really thankful to you. So without further ado, we'll just start with just asking, as I generally ask, when did you come? Where did you come? And your experience, when you start your day one actually in Canada. If you can just walk us through that, that sort of view for our viewers, please.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to thank you for arranging these sorts of activities for the people which are coming to Canada and still struggling to get somewhere where we are right now. So I hope everybody is going to get good positions, whoever is coming to Canada. I graduated in electrical power system engineering from Lahore, Engineering University, Lahore, and started my career as an electrical engineer in Pakistan, WAPDA. Worked there on different projects, including maintenance projects, brownfield projects, installation, commissioning, and replacement of different switch gears, which was actually not easy task to work over there on these types of activities, but I took that challenge, and luckily I got a meritorious performance award while I was working in Pakistan WAPDA on one of the projects where ABB engineer from Germany was supposed to supervise and manage that project, and we had constraint of foreign exchange, and I offered my services to the company, and it was a bit difficult to offer those types of services in Pakistan. Most of my friends were actually advising me not to offer that, not to put my job on stake, but I did not bother about what was going to happen, but I offered those, and then WAPDA got this approval from Ministry of Water and Power that our local engineer wants to work on this project and he wants to supervise this project. End of the day, we got succeeded in getting those all tasks done, and thanks to WAPDA and Pakistan, they awarded me for meritorious performance. I moved to Canada in 2004, and my younger brother Farhat Maqsood was already working in Canada, Calgary. So that's why I landed directly to Calgary and made Calgary as my home. My first day was not that difficult for me as far as Calgary city was concerned. Because I had home, my brother was living in his own home, so I landed with my family. But still, in my mind, there were so many thoughts about what's going to happen, how future is going to look like here in Canada, working from a prestigious job, landing where I did not know that where I will end up as far as my future is concerned. Started searching my jobs and met with so many friends, which were my BAPTA colleagues, university fellows, seniors, juniors, my class fellows. Some of them were very good, some of them were good, but maybe they were so busy that they did not have time to advise. And I'm thankful to all those friends, those who advised me to get something done, those who did not advise, that was even more helpful for me to get onto my toes and try to do something at my own. First thing which I realized that getting into the job here in Canada is very difficult if we don't have our skills improved in terms of safety, in terms of ethical values and job environment. So job environment here in Canada is entirely different than what we were working on. And specifically for engineers, codes and standards which we were implementing in our back home, those were entirely different what these guys are implementing here. So that was a challenge for me to improve my skills, to learn new codes standard, to learn new safety requirements, and to learn how to behave ethically when applying for a job, during interview, and while I will be on the job. So all these challenges were there. There were so many good people around me which gave me some advices. First thing which I did, I started studying small courses. I did some courses from SAIT, that is Southern Alberta Institute of Technology in Calgary. So I did electrical design upgradation. I did electrical code theory upgradation course, and then programmable logic controllers. When I was doing programmable logic controller, one of my teacher in SAIT, one day he asked me which company I was working for. And I told him I'm jobless. And he was like, how come this industry is not giving job to the person like you? I said, because I don't have Canadian experience. I don't know, like these things kept going. And one day when I finished my 2-3 courses in SAIT, those are like short courses, 2 months, 3 months, and PLC certification was a longer duration course. I was applying for hundreds of jobs daily, which I thought that those are exactly as per my experience, but I was not getting into the job, no interviews, nothing. And then I thought, okay, let's go for another course in the SAIT. So I went to the SAIT, and my teacher, which taught me PLC, met me over there. And he asked me, what are you doing here? I told him, I'm here to get another course because I'm not getting to the job. So he told me, don't do any course now. You have done enough. Send me your resume and I will become your reference to get you into the industry. Thanks to him. His name was Derek Abrupt. So from there, I did not choose any course. I went home. I worked a little bit more on my resume and sent that resume to Derek. Very next day, I got 3 interview calls. So I went to one of the oil and gas company for interview. This gentleman interviewed me and then he asked me, did Derek refer you to other companies? I said, yes, 2 other companies, and I have interviews aligned. And this guy told me, if I give you offer here on the table, will you accept that right away and will not go for other interviews? I said, why not? So he gave me offer as a supervising engineer electrical. So I took that position, started working over there. When I started my job, initially it's difficult for us to understand what are the requirements of the job other than our technical knowledge, technical experience, like how I'm going to deal with the people. If you are supervising 1%, 2%, how you are going to get work done by these people. So those were challenging for me. Unfortunately, the oil and gas industry started picking, and unfortunately, I lost my 2 of the PLC programmers. And I did not find anybody in the market. That course which I took in SAIT helped me a lot. And then I started working, in addition to my original responsibility, working on programming one of the projects. Successfully, I commissioned that project while working as a supervising engineer. So working with other people, communication was really a big problem, because there are some words or languages which these guys speak in English, but those are not really what we mean, those words. So those needed to be spoken here, but we don't usually use those words. Initially, I was hesitant to use those, but without using those words, you cannot get job done by your colleagues, your subordinates. So these challenges were already there. I would suggest, like younger people, that they should be focusing on how to deal with the language on the job site. Despite we have, like, our people have very good English language, so they are maybe very good in grammar, everything. But every job site has different requirement. There are some language, some words which in English language which we need to understand. Then after like working for about 2 years, I got another job in another oil and gas company as a project manager. So one of my friends, which is like a younger brother to me, he referred me into that company, and that was purely power system project manager in oil and gas. So I started my job in that company, and most of the projects I work on were closed above quoted margin, and I was a successful project manager in that company. Then I thought I should be working in my own industry, which is purely power system substation side. And then I moved to SNC Levelland and started working in SNC Levelland. Since then, I have been working in substation and power system industry and worked on different project management and engineering management positions. In 2015, mid 2015, I got an offer from one of the US-based company to work here in US as an engineering manager, and I decided to move to US. In July 2015, I moved to US. For the last 2 years, I have been working here with one of the US-based company as a vice president and director of projects. So that's whole story, but I would suggest that most of the younger people are newcomers to Canada or even US. They should be working on their resumes, and they should be working on where we are lagging behind from the people we are going to compete with. We may be very good in technical side. We may be very good in our courses, our education and everything. But when it comes to job environment, job requirements, ethical practices, safety, and codes and standards relevant to our jobs, we should be updating ourselves when we arrive here in Canada.
Thank you very much. It was very condensed version of your number of years that you have been here and then develop yourself. Wanted to go back to your first job break that you get. So you said that you've been doing courses and courses, and first of all, how long did it take you to get the first job? And the second, that this is the thing, people, those who come to Canada have no experience. Employers ask for Canadian experience, and they don't have Canadian experience. So unless they get a job, how would they get Canadian experience? So, but if you are if you're not working, how do you develop this reference? What are some of the suggestions that you have that people develop these references that apparently helped you?
First of all, it took me about 7, 8 months to get job, and I was doing my courses. Secondly, yes, I can answer this question better even now when I have been interviewing people for last 15 years. That if someone doesn't have any Canadian experience, how this guy is going to develop that experience, and how any employer is going to get confidence that this guy will be doing good job. First of all, those courses which are, because as an as a manager, if I'm going to select somebody from resume, I would see if somebody doesn't have Canadian or American experience. So I will see, I am afraid of this guy may cause any safety issue, any job site issue, like behavioral issue with other colleagues. So if somebody has gone through some of the courses or mentorship by any senior, and this has been documented in the resume that okay, this person has done these safety courses, like let's suppose any codes and standard. So I will get more confidence. This guy knows codes and standard. If somebody has done some safety courses, I will know that this guy is going to take care of safety when this guy will be designing or doing project management. Right now, I'm interviewing project managers as well. So whichever field people are working, they should be like we have professional development courses for all of the organizations we have certifications from. So we should be focusing on those types of courses for our professional development. When we will write down that somebody has done courses, those types of courses from Canada, from US, particularly from Canada, because we will be talking more about Canadian. So then employer will have confidence, okay, if though this person doesn't have Canadian experience, but this person knows how to work in Canada, how to use technical skills in Canada, and people will get interview. Improving skills is most important.
Okay, I think that's a great way to develop some relationship and some references while you're improving your skills and you're updating your resume, but you are meeting lots of people at school, and there are other colleagues that you have, and then you sort of start your journey, not with the job, but at least your professional career starts from that point, and then you have lots of opportunities to network with other people, those who are working or those who might be in the industry but they are upgrading, and then develop some relationship with them. So now you are interviewing, so I like to focus on that part, because a lot of people, they they don't get a interview call, as you mentioned before as well, that people generally apply hundreds of jobs, but there's no interview call. And when they do get an interview call, they generally go and then do not do very well in their interviews. So can you elaborate on that? You know, that how do people how people tailor their resumes? What are the key mistakes they make that sort of stops them to getting interview calls?
First of all, like in our countries, most of the people don't design like we design in Canada. But and they are afraid of writing down design. Once I met with a guy, he came to me for mentorship, and he had done a lots of plant maintenance. And I asked him, "Did you ever do design?" After looking at his resume, I knew that he has done something which I wanted to ask him in the second question. But first question I asked him, "Did you ever do design?" He told no. I was doing maintenance. And then I asked him, okay, what were you doing in maintenance? Bernard, you going through the drawings when any of the equipment got failed or had a fault? Yes, I was doing that. Okay, and then if you had to replace any motor, any pump, any substation equipment, were not you updating that drawing with the new equipment? Yes, I was doing that. Then I told me that's design. You were doing brownfield design, you were doing upgradation of the equipment. You might had not done greenfield full project, but these smaller projects you had already done. You will not find a different drawings here when you will be doing design. Most of the companies are still doing these brownfield projects and smaller pieces of the equipment they are replacing in design. So you have done design. You can write down in your resume that I have done brownfield design. I have done replacement of equipment, and you can name those equipment which you have replaced. And then I modified drawings, and that's a design. And that's all people needed to write it. They need to think and correlate their experience with Canadian experience relevant to their job. So some people are doing exactly what Canadians are doing here, but they named that work a different way. Like a maintenance engineer, if you say engineer, which means this guy is doing engineering job while doing maintenance. So if any equipment fails or anything needed to be replaced, we are doing that engineering on that equipment. Second part interview, most of most of the landed immigrant do have very good answers to the technical questions. Most of the people are very good technically. Where they lag behind are behavior based questions. And one, I will just touch base with only one area. When people are asked, what is your weakness? First of all, people with our background, they feel if we will tell that we have any weakness, we will not get selected. Whereas that's not the case. As a manager, I have done so many management courses where interview skills are being taught to me, and I have been working on this, on improving my interviewing skill. If somebody tells me that I don't have any weakness, though this guy is very good technically, I will not hire him or her, because that's instruction for me as a manager. So there are weaknesses. The first weakness, and one weakness which we cannot get rid of, is our communication skills. So don't get hesitated in telling interviewer, okay, I have weakness of communication. English is not my first language. Doesn't he know this? Everybody knows this, that that's not our first language, though some of our friends have very good English, but still this is English. This English is their second language, not first language. So telling this weakness is not going to harm. Now, let interviewer ask second question, how you are going to improve this, how you are going to tackle with this weakness. Then you can answer, okay, I'm doing some courses, I'm watching movies, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, whatever you can collect in your memory, you can tell that. But I have seen most of the people do this mistake. When they tell, oh yeah, I have English as a second language and that's my weakness, without interviewer asking this person next question, they start clarifying, yeah, I have started improving this and that. No, don't just try to tell that you have, what are you doing to improve that? Just tell your weakness and then let interviewer ask you the next question. And if he doesn't ask, don't explain him. Nobody's going to give you negative marking for that. So this thing we need to keep in our mind. Secondly, if somebody doesn't have any Canadian experience, clearly tell person, that's my weakness. But I have done so many courses. I have met with so many people. I got mentorship from Mr. So-and-so. I did some volunteer jobs to get this Canadian experience. Even if I have been working on a store for these many years, and that's a Canadian experience, and I learned how to work in Canada from that store or from that odd job. So don't hesitate to tell this. All these things are taken positively.
Great, thank you. Thanks. So now the issue is that, the job market is very competitive nowadays. When there's a job posted, a lot of people get a lot of people apply to that. And when such competition exists, super hyper competitive market. So you apply for that job, but the thing is that uh, you are competing with other people, those who may be better than you, or uh, or you may be better, maybe better one of than those who are applying. How do you? What are the things that you look for in resume when somebody is basically applying to the job and then he's thinking, okay, I would get an interview call, but then don't get an interview call. So what mistakes people make when they put resume and cover letter and submit their resume to HR.
Actually, some people put so many things in the resume. Like, let's suppose there is a job for protection and control engineer. So people put protection and control instrumentation into that one, electrical physical into that one, industrial electrical into that one. When you have like 4 different areas written in a resume of 5 years of experience, but I will conclude. So there are 4 different areas this guy has worked on in 5 years. So in each area, this guy has 1 year experience. So rest of the 3 areas, I don't need this guy to work on. So that's gonna go negative. So if you are applying for a job, focus your resume for that job. Anything you have done for that job, you should be writing that relevant to the job. So some of the people I have seen written pretty much everything about electrical engineering, about civil engineering. Sometimes we interview civil engineers here. So same thing people are doing. Somebody has done just structural job, but this guy has done, okay, I have done environmental, I have done drainage system, but those are not relevant to structural jobs. So we should be focusing on that job which we are applying for. Our resume should be focused for that, first of all. Secondly, if we have done any course, anything in here, even like irrelevant job done in Canada, write down that job. Don't hesitate to write down that job, because that's going to go positive as far as your Canadian experience is concerned. So in competitive job, if somebody has done, the job is like at a bachelor of engineering level, and somebody has done master, this guy might get picked. But I suggest one thing to the people, particularly engineers. Our bachelor degree from all of our region is very good here. That is accepted as it is. Doing master is going to give you a little bit edge, but it's not going to help you a lot. Rather than doing master, if you guys can do hands-on courses in technology colleges, where hands-on work, hands-on design is taught, try to do those courses. That's going to give more confidence to the employer, because in master, if you are going to do any study type of things, that's fine. Maybe you will get selected. But engineering design side, master is not going to help you out. So with bachelor, even lower level courses are going to help you out. And that's a big suggestion. And this resume will be picked up for sure compared to if somebody has master and a lower level hands-on design, the 6-month course, 3 months course, even just a few hours course, 30 hours course, those resumes get picked more than a master degree. There are specific fields where master degree is going to work, and those jobs are not more than 10% in the market, of the total market. So this needed to be looked at.
Thanks. Mahesh, you have a question? You raising hand?
Yeah, it's as Keshav mentioned that upgrading with the relevant courses I totally agree on that. However, down the road, while working, if people find that doing project management, this is a PMP designation or any other certification courses, they will be adding value to their ongoing career, then certainly they can look for that. But in case they don't have a job, however, they are thinking of, spending another year or 2 years, spending, their savings on that, that certainly I won't recommend to, to use the money from their savings. And further, how they need to put into the resume, that's very true, to use the keywords that are there in the job description. On addition to that, I will recommend adding something more about the soft skill also, like drive for the results, change management, and there are 7 competencies. And whenever they mention, they need to mention kind of a start and closure, like what was the problem, kind of a star approach, which is used in the interview also. When we say start means what was the situation, what kind of a tasks were involved, what actions they took to get the results. That's the start. They can use in a simple way in the cover letter also. So that gives a starting and a closure point onto that job description, what they are. Otherwise, nowadays it's a very easy from no internet to use the keywords. Everybody can use that. But the situations, as our fingerprints are different, situations faced by people will be different. So they need to give kind of a description that will help to land it further. Thank you.
So, Mahesh, I would add into that situation. I like that. When we are telling any situational scenario to the interviewer, so we should be, first of all, telling that what was our contribution into that. And when we are actually making a statement of any situation, so interviewer is going to look at what was your behavior in that situation. Were you good listener? Did you listen to the others? Were you a good leader? Did you
Yeah.
command into that? What
Yeah.
were your technical input into that? What was your managerial skills into that? When you are putting things together for that situation, so you need to be actually showing your participation was good. You actually had good ideas and you had good knowledge of that field. And maybe if you got stuck somewhere, you got help from the other, you are a good team player. So all these skills are judged when anybody is actually telling interviewer about any situation. And that's a good point. Usually like in situational question, interviewer judge in most of the skills are being judged in that situational questions.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah. No, I further to add that, as you mentioned, Kasarbai, that when you're supervising, in addition to technical strengths, it's very difficult to manage people. I remember one time I was given a team member who was not given performance bonus consecutively for 2 years. So my senior manager told me, Mahesh, now you have this, in addition to ongoing projects, this is another challenge. You are to look into how we can improve performance of this gentleman, professional engineer, in the next year. I don't like that not giving bonus to one person while giving to all the other persons. So these kind of challenges also develop, how you will be doing people management too. So we in Canada, we need to work with that. That's totally taken. Communication is a challenge for us when we come from India, Pakistan. However, socializing, there are so many within the big companies, there are so many opportunities to network internally, to socialize internally with the people. So we need to come out of our comfort zone, so that we are, so that people don't take it that we are in our own community zone. You need to meet with the people from other nationality. That's why diversity and equity, inclusion, all these things are coming up front, so that people are coming out of their comfort zone. So we need to look into that too, so that everybody is becoming comfortable when they come out of their comfort zone.
Great.
And just I want to add another thing. Some people do so many things, so many courses, like in different fields. So try to focus in one area. So don't try to just scatter down here and there, and you will not get anything. So whatever your expertise is, try to focus in that area.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
very good.
So Kaisa bhai, got a few minutes left. What is the big challenge that you faced throughout your career that you think is basically is hard to overcome? And what suggestion you have?
So actually, my biggest challenge was managing so many people, like 40, 50 people. So most of the time I was managing different managers. So like in diversity in here, like different culture people, different backgrounds, different culture. So managing those people and communicating with those in their own way, who likes what, who doesn't like this. Like, I think Mahesh also touched base to the same thing, but that was biggest challenge for me. But as an engineer, when I was doing engineering job, so I think I should tell a little bit, 1 minute, 2 minutes, that as an engineer, biggest challenge was how I'm going to utilize Canadian electrical codes, whereas I was doing different codes and standard when I was there.
I apologize. The video was cut off due to shorter time of the meeting, but I'd like to say thanks to Brother Kessler. He has definitely made some really good points, and I hope that the viewers that who would for them there are some real insights when it comes to looking for jobs here in Canadian market. So thank you so much, Professor. I really appreciate your time, and have a good day. Thank you guys. Okay, bye for now.